a channeled message that I want to share. Right now we are at a huge crossroads collectively. So collectively, everybody in the collective, the human collective, or like the earth collective, we are at a crossroads. We are at a juncture point. And I think I'm going to make a video on YouTube about this because I need more time to explain and show y'all my notes and stuff like this. But we are at the nexus point, the singularity, and it's about who's going through and who's not. So everybody is being faced with their karma right now, karma being the Sanskrit word for actions. Everybody's faced with their karma right now. Everybody's faced with their choices. And it isn't so much about like, oh, like, what did you do in a past life? Like, sure. But really, it's because we've all been given the opportunity to rectify our past transgressions, whether they are from this life or the past life. And also to absolve the transgressions, the sins of our fathers and, our mothers. So forefathers is what I'm hearing. And that for me feels like 1, 2, 3 on the clock or on the timer. That for me feels like it has to do with, national identity. It does have to do with the collective culture, which is the culture of the colony, because that is that's the dominant global culture, unfortunately. And so what have you done to break those curses? What have you done to liberate yourself and your bloodline and your community from those curses, that karma, you know what I mean? Because the curses that were upon the collective are no longer able to function. The deals that were made are no longer, they are null and void. They are no longer in action anymore. And all of the work that they did to enslave humanity is it's being undone, basically. So some of this, it does have to do with like the grid work that healers have been doing, earth angels have been doing. It does have to do with the it does have to do with the grid work. It does have to do with earth angels going to different places. Like, this is why you had to move around so much. This is why you were called out of stability, is what I'm hearing, called out of your setting, essentially, in order to go somewhere else and use your body and your energy and your spirit to transform the power structures there, is what I'm hearing. And I'm seeing like power line. I think that was the name of the singer played by Tevin Campbell in the Goofy movie. Coming up in regards to the Goofy movie is that episode of Atlanta where they're like, the Goofy movie, Goofy was the first Black character. So you might identify a lot with, quote unquote, capital T, capital C, the culture. You might be of a person of African descent. You or your ancestors might be. You might be somebody who identifies with having past lives in Egypt, or Kemet rather, because that would include Nubia, that would include Kush, I'm pretty sure. I'm also hearing Zimbabwe, and I'm hearing Sumeria, like Sumerian, Babylonian, haunted, challenges, decisions, do me first, no F's given, illusions in reverse, whatever, and voice. So all of, there was a specter. There was a specter, a ghost, a spirit, if you will, that was upon the land. And I very much mean literally. I very much mean literally. And if you are a crystalline, like, your job was to carry the light codes, the diamond, sun, crystal consciousness codes that would wipe out and like basically supercharge the light codes to explode, is what I'm picking up, to 0505 on the timer, to explode the energy of this cursed energy. Okay, so this is removing the challenges, and you are divinely guided in this. You don't have to think, oh, how am I going to do it, how am I going to save the world? Like, you were divinely guided to do this. If you, this is what I'm saying, if you were taken out of your town, if you basically like were forced out of the life that you were living and have just been living a very like transient life that didn't really make any sense to you, and it absolutely was not like anything that you wanted or were asking for in the past year or so, 545 on the timer, then this is probably why, because you were being guided to do things to fulfill your mission, and you had to do that first, in order to like do what, in order to fulfill your mission, and you had to do that first in order to be able to get back to your life. And on the other side of this, your life is going to be way better than anything that came before. No F's given. I'm feeling like that is like, you know, um don't hold on too tight to like whatever came in the past. Don't hold on too tight to other people's opinions of you. They don't know your mission. They don't know your calling. Okay, 632 on the timer. They don't know your mission. They don't know your calling. God put that message in your heart for you. They don't know what your purpose is. And especially if they are of a lower frequency, a lower form of consciousness, they can't even begin to fathom. You know what I mean? Like, some of these people, it's like you were born of a higher consciousness in them. And through all of these deaths and rebirths that you've gone through, you have developed an even higher level of consciousness and awareness. So you are light years ahead of these people. It doesn't make sense to give a shit or give a fuck about what these people have to say or what they think, because they're not capable of comprehending things on your level. So they can't see things the way that you see them. They can't fulfill your mission. So it doesn't make sense to be concerned about like their opinions and their judgments. Okay. Illusions in reverse. The illusions are coming down. The veils are coming down. It's over. It's done. Whatever, and voice, like, you are free, you are liberated. Really, I just encourage you to continue not giving any fucks about what society has to say, what agents of the colony have to say, of the demonic shadow empire, as I like to refer to it. No matter what they say, no matter what they think, it doesn't matter. Keep living your truth, keep speaking your truth, keep using your voice and your intentionally crafted actions to manifest that higher vibrational reality that you were born to manifest. What I was saying, stability just popped out of the deck. What I was saying about being at this nexus point, the collective is at this nexus point. The collective is at a giant crossroads. And who sits at the crossroads? The puka. So there's a trickster energy that sits at the crossroads. But it's also an opportunity. It's also like death, which is related to Pluto and Saturn. Carnal in reverse. So we're all being asked to transcend our base instincts, our reptilian brain, our primal emotions, and operated from our sophisticated, developed frontal lobe of our brain. The frontal cortex of our brain, where problem solving happens, language, the ability to do math, like I said, sophisticated thought. That is where that all happens. And if we are too busy being caught up in the illusions and the fear and the karmic cycles and things like this from the past that we inherited when we incarnated into whatever bloodline on earth we incarnated into, then we're going to likely continue perpetuating it. But if you can give space, like pause long enough for there to be an intercession so that spirit can get in there, the Holy Spirit can get in there. And because there are lots of spirits, right? There are a lot of different types of spirits. Not every spirit you want to be taking on. And also, even some of them, they're just not aligned for you. You know what I mean? Like, some of them, you're not capable of engaging those kinds of spirits. So it's really just like, you don't need to. Not every spirit is for you, but the Holy Spirit's for everybody, and it is in everybody. That's Shekinah. So this energy of Shekinah, in order for that to come in and to get in and like divine energy, to get us into divine alignment with our purpose, with our path. Some of us, you know, like I said, we had to be forced into that, and then others of us, we did choose, you know, no, some of us, our path, we were forced by our higher selves to do things that we didn't necessarily want to do and didn't understand why we had to do it. And over the course of time, we developed clearer understanding, but you may still be developing it, and it's just about like in this time you're going to get more and more insight as to why you had to do certain things that you had to do, but trust your intuition on it. And also you know, let go of this need to control the narrative, let go of this need to like you be the one who's deciding how things go and what things are and aren't. And it's like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. And it's like, it doesn't really matter if it makes any sense to you in your like colonized mind. It doesn't matter, because nothing that makes actual sense in reality is supposed to make sense inside of the false matrix. So, you know, if you know what your truth is, stop denying that, because that is what's blocking you from getting the answers that you're looking for. And I would really encourage you to just like pray and ask, you know, your higher power, your higher self, as I said, Holy Spirit, divine, most high divine creator, for answers and clarity. Okay. Because we're also in the 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 chamber, alchemical chamber, what they call the Holy Grail, this moment of, you know, coming to this singularity point. People often talk about the singularity, and I don't know what people think it would be, but a lot of these things, I mean, everything has to happen in the realm of spirit and consciousness. And over time, the energy has to start moving slower and slow down for it to manifest in the 3D reality. And there is a mundane way that these things show up. Not everything has to always be like this white light moment of like massive magics in the 3D material world, because most of you wouldn't even be able to handle that if you experienced it. A lot of you don't even know what to do with a divine feminine or a divine masculine when you encounter them. And a lot of the time, y'all let your shadows act out and attack them, or attack us rather. So why do you think that you would be somebody who's in vibrational alignment and resonance to be able to experience like magic in the 3D? Those of us who have experienced it, it's because we are in alignment for those kinds of experiences to happen. And, you know, not gaslight ourselves or deny the reality. 1336 on the timer. But with all that being said, in this point where we're in the singularity and everything is coming together and being harmonized, and if you're not able to harmonize with this sacred energy, first of all, you're gonna stay in that old 3D reality. You're not moving forward, because you're not, like, once this portal closes, you're not coming to the other side, because you can't. You need to be in the vibrational resonance. And, you know, I'm not too sure yet if it's possible for people to like do so after it closes, but I don't think so. And honestly, like, that is the judgment that we've been going through. And so, like I said, the judgment, that is the crossroads with Saturn and Pluto. You've had the opportunity to go through the ego death, but a lot of us have just been like refusing to do so, refusing to kill your ego, kill your pride, humble yourself, and do the right thing. It's obviously easier said than done, but it's very clear. You know what I mean? We know what the right thing to do is. Sometimes it's like, you know, one of my sisters like, you're really crazy about apologies. I think one of our other siblings did something to me that I found extremely offensive. And I was just like, she didn't apologize. She's not sorry. And I'm not dealing with her crap until she apologizes and makes it right. Because I'm all about accountability. I have very many Saturn placements in tropical astrology. I have an Aquarius moon and a Capricorn rising, both of which are ruled by Sagittarius as my sun sign in tropical astrology. But I'm actually Scorpio dominant. So, you know, major Pluto, major Jupiter, and major Saturn here. And those are the Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto. Yeah, those are the planets of karma, and they are the alchemical planets. They are the transpersonal planets, along with Neptune and Uranus. But those are really being activated in the cosmos right now. If you look at the astrology, we had 2 Jupiter-Uranus conjunctions that were a really big deal. We are closing out cycles that started with the great conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter. Saturn and Jupiter in 2020. Saturn is in the degrees of Pisces. Pisces, a lot of people don't realize, is actually a sign of justice. Each of the degrees, in individual degrees, their Sabian symbols relate to things having to do with divine justice and sacred order. And that is what harmony is. And like sacred union, which we talk about, like nuptials, marriage. It's not just a relationship. It is a sacred sacrament, a sacred union coming together. That's the difference between Venus, which is the lower octave of Neptune, which, you know, Venus is a coming together, but it doesn't mean that they're harmoniously aligned and matched with one another. Saturn is Saturn, the planet of time, Saturn, the planet of narratives, of karma, of the Akashic, of the Akash, you know what I mean? It does have to do with moksha, which then has to do with Jupiter and Neptune, very much so. But, and Pluto has to do with the process of all of this. But all of that to say, like, Saturn is in the sign of Pisces right now in the justice degrees. Okay, Pluto is at, right now, Pluto is still moving direct, I believe, but at some point, if not, it may have already gone retrograde. If not, it's going to be retrograde this month, and it will be moving back from 2 degrees Aquarius to 1 degree Aquarius. And so that's a lot of what we're seeing with the collapse of celebrities and idol worship in this way, that we see it in the global paradigm. It's going to be the collapse of these systems of abuse of power. You know, it has to do with these priest king lineages that are corrupt. So symbols that will be very up right now are like water, like a lot to do with water, a lot to do with like the sun, gold, citrine, a lot to do with dragons, a lot to do with carnelian as a stone, pyrite. These are stones that you want to be carrying around. Jet, jadeite, onyx, obsidian especially, because that's going to really sharpen your acumen and allow you to cut through the illusions. Saturn being in Pisces is that incisive cutting through illusions. It's like no more bullshit, no more delusions. We're not doing this anymore. We're putting practical measures into place to optimize what the fuck is going on here, because this isn't working. You know what I mean? And Pluto is helping with that in the sign of Aquarius. So all of that to say, like, karma is being served. Trust that divine justice is being served, and you need to let go of whatever resentments from the past that you have. Like I said, I'm crazy about accountability, because you cannot be in an interdependent, healthy community with people who can't take accountability for their actions and for their behavior, because those kinds of people, they're not self-sovereign. You can't be interdependent with them. Ultimately, you're going to be in an unbalanced dynamic with them, right? So if people can't take accountability, they're staying in the 3D earth. They're not moving on to new earth because they're not capable of vibrating at that frequency, whether it's because they are just simply not able to reach that form of consciousness, or if it's because they're refusing to. And this is a lot of this is the impetus for creating this this video is the fact that they are being offered the opportunity to, and a lot of people are not taking that opportunity. A lot of these people are still throwing magics. They're still doing spellcraft, which relates to Saturn. A lot of people don't know, but Saturn is one of the witchiest planets, and that's why it has Capricorn is super witchy. People don't ever think about Capricorn that way, but it is true. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that Saturn ruled placements are actually incredibly witchy. These people thought that they could throw magics, do baneful magic, try and control other people's narratives, try and control other people's destiny, you know, steal from people, cause harm in the darkness, and like throw stones and hide their hands. That shit is not how it works. That's not ever how it works. And if you were really a witch, if you were really about that life, you would know that only an idiot does those kinds of things, because you have to be so stupid to think that you're going to do those things and not have that shit come back on you. So this is why I say I don't believe that those kinds of people are actually you know, they don't really have rank, and they're not really usually natural born, you know, witches and wizards. They're people who choose to pick up magic, probably because they feel disempowered in their lives. And the ones who are actually of a bloodline, you know, usually it's because they have some sort of past life karma, or their bloodline is one of the fallen lineages. But the point is, so for a lot of you, that's what the case is, because these people are part of like covens, brotherhoods, cults, what have you, that are doing these kinds of dark magics, because it's part of their lineage. It's part of it's just what they've been doing for generations. And some of them who are part of these bloodlines, I don't want you to think like, oh, all of the people in these bloodlines are bad and evil. That's not true. You know, you can't really, I'll be the first to tell you, you can't help who you were born, like your karmic relatives, you know what I mean? Obviously, some of us, like, we chose what families we would incarnate into, but the fact of the matter is, like, I'm not the one who forced my ancestors to do the things that they did, whether good or bad. I'm not the one who forced my parents to do the things that they do. I don't force my siblings to do the things that they do. Everybody has free will, autonomy, and agency. So, you know, if they're a generational curse breaker, honestly, the ones who are born into these like families that are, I'm hearing like mafioso. Because also a lot of people don't know, when you join them, like when you get initiated into the mafia, like there is an occult ritual that they do. Whether or not it's like, oh, well, it's just symbolic. It doesn't, no, nothing is just symbolic. If you've ever seen the second season of True Blood, Marianne tells Tara this. She's like, oh, the lady who did the ritual, like she was a phony. And it's like, well, rituals have power, and it doesn't matter if she was a phony, she still did all those things and summoned my energy. So here I am, basically. And that's exactly true too. So, you know, I am feeling like this is a crime syndicate is the word that I'm picking up. I am getting like Freemasons, like, oh, confirmation verb, excuse me. I am getting Freemasons, so it may be also that. I mean, I am from a Freemason bloodline. Like my grandfather was a high-ranking, the most high-ranking actually in my country at the time of his death. But I say that to say, like, it's not just because somebody was born into a karmic family that does, you know, fucked up things doesn't mean that they themselves are bad. And if you're a generational curse breaker, they can be rather. However, a lot of people aren't. Just because someone is an earth angel, just because somebody is born with a mission and you recognize their resonance, you recognize their vibration, does not mean that they are choosing to actually like fulfill their duty. It doesn't mean that they're actually choosing to like be in their purpose. A lot of people abandon their purpose to pursue lives of depravity. And I understand that. There was a time when I myself was pursuing a life of depravity, but obviously I don't do that anymore. There's comes a time when each of us has to choose, are we going to do what's right or are we going to do what's easy? Yeah, that's from Harry Potter. Dumbledore said that. But, you know, that is this time right now that we are in. Because, yeah, Pluto is at 2 degrees now. It's going to move back to 1 degree. And then it's going to move back into Capricorn. And there's going to be a lot of havoc and hell to pay when that happens. I believe at the end of this month, May, or it's gonna move. No, excuse me, it's gonna move in June. It's gonna move back into Capricorn. So when that happens, you're gonna really wish that you had done the things that you were being called to do at this here crossroads, because the karmic tests will be back in action at that time. So the big idea here is that, like, if you were given the opportunity, which we all are being offered the opportunity to transcend our karma, and I feel like this was happening over the weekend, so like the end of May, the end of April 2024, but you know, take it as it resonates right now. This was happening over the weekend where we, whether energetically or what have you, were being offered the opportunity in the ethers to either lapse back into practices, patterns, and behaviors of destruction, just karmic shit, karmic timelines, or transcend them, regardless of how uncomfortable or difficult or painful that is. And there's no excuse. You know what I mean? There's really no excuse. The universe isn't going to take any excuses. And that's not like, oh, like the universe is mean. No, it is simply a mathematical equation, actually. So, you know, that's all that it comes down to. Either you do or you don't do what you're supposed to do, and you're going to experience the consequences of either one, whether those are beneficent consequences that you want to experience or they are consequences that hurt. You know, that's up to you though. So that's where it's at. And a lot of these people, they're sitting at the crossroads and they are continuing to choose fear. They're continuing to choose low vibrational sickness. They're continuing to choose hedonism. They're continuing to choose trauma, whether it's because they are traumatizing others or they are, you know, recreating their own trauma instead of doing what is necessary to transcend and heal alchemically. And they're going to be stuck there in that space, getting their ass whooped by karma and the powers of the universe, and also likely the ancestors and spirit teams, family gods of those that they caused harm to. Some people, you know, none of us are going to make it out. None of us are going to make it out of this alive, as people say. But like, some people are really going to perish in unfathomable ways. So that's just something to keep aware of. If you are holding on to resentment because of ways that people caused you harm, I'd really encourage you to just let it go, because ultimately those people are not going to, they are going to get justice handed to them in ways that you would never even be able to give to them. It's going to be really bad. And honestly, you're going to feel bad for them, but that doesn't mean that you should help them, because you shouldn't. You should leave them to their own devices. Because when you needed help, they were not there to help you. And if they were, they didn't have good intentions about it. It was from a bad place. And if, yeah, I mean,
That's what it comes down to. If somebody offers you their hand, but then it's like, but you have to do these things, and then I'll help you out of this drowning situation. Or if they offer you their hand and then they make fun of you the whole time. Haha, you can't swim, look at you. You have rocks tied to your feet. Haha. You know what? That kind of thing. Like, that's not actually helping. Like, what is to help? It's just to like reach out your hand and just for the sake of helping, because you see someone drowning and you don't want them to go through that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like that's the message. I don't think that anything else is coming up. I pray that each and every single one of us, I'm going to see if there's anything that wants to come out from the tarot. 18 is significant, so that's a goddess number, new higher vibrational frequency, Shakti. Yeah, duality in reverse, innocence in reverse, saint, grounded, and daydreams in reverse. So that really feels like everything that I've been saying. It's time to get real. It's time to like take shit seriously. And, you know, I definitely feel like as long as you know that you're doing what you're supposed to do and walking the righteous path in alignment with your integrity as your foundation, in alignment with your divinity, you know, your higher self, your higher power, what have you. I call it the pillar of light. You don't need to worry about any of these things, because honestly, like, being in the pillar of light is such a powerful frequency that a lot of this shit really can't affect you the way that they want it to affect you. I would recommend to you not to come together with others right now. Don't act from a place of like lack. Don't act from like, you know, as I said, like these primal instincts, like fear, loneliness. If you're feeling touch starved, that doesn't mean hop on an app and go hang out with some loser idiot. Like, it means to tap into your network of people who are actually aligned, and ask for support, and really get back to understanding the beautiful relationship between you and your creator. Let go of all of these things that are burdening you, and it's going to be beautiful. You're going to manifest great things. It's happening. Don't think that just because it hasn't materialized that it's not happening, because when you tap into the energy, it is very clear that it is happening. Okay, I love you all truly and deeply. Thank you for your time, and we'll talk soon. Happy hunting. Also, be sure to book a reading with me if you want to. You know where to find the information for that. Book an oracle healing session, or anything regarding, like, you know, coaching packages. All that beautiful stuff is on my website, in my shop, and I love y'all truly deeply. See you around.